After 9/11, one of the strangest sights wasn't the smoke. It was the streets covered in high heels. People had to abandon their shoes just to move. And that's what this really comes down to. Not fashion, not looking the part, but whether you can keep going when things don't go to plan. This isn't about dressing like you're in some disaster film. It's about being caught out by ordinary life going slightly wrong. Trains stop, the weather turns, you end up walking further than expected. And suddenly what you're wearing stops being background detail. I don't wear prepper clothing all the time. What I do instead is I stage things. I've got steel toe-cap boots by the front door, and I've got Crocs by the back door. The Crocs are there so I'm less tempted to step outside with nothing on my feet when I'm dealing with the bins or whatever. And that's what people do. People think, oh, I'll just pop out for a second, and that's when you step on something, slip or drop something. When I had solar panels delivered recently, I made a point of putting the steel toe-cap boots on just to accept the delivery. Not because I was expecting a disaster, but because I'd be carrying something heavy and a bit awkward, something I'm not used to handling. That is exactly the kind of moment when foot protection earns its keep. Because that's when accidents actually happen, not in disasters, in normal life gone wrong. If something takes 5 minutes to get ready, you won't bother. If it takes 5 seconds, you will. Footwear is where this really shows up. I don't think it's a mistake to wear trainers day in, day out in a city where mobility counts a lot. If something goes wrong, your job is usually to move, not stand your ground. Trainers are comfortable, efficient over distance, and low fatigue. That gives you something valuable straight away. Boots give you more protection and more stability, which is why I tend to wear them to the office. What I do think people run into problems is dress shoes. They prioritise appearance over movement and protection. That's fine for formal occasions, but I wouldn't want them to be my default if I need to get home on foot. There are a few things I think are worth keeping in mind here. One is simple comfort and mobility. Clothing that technically fits but restricts movement isn't really fit for purpose. If your clothes fight you when you bend, walk, carry things, or climb over something, they're working against you. If you wouldn't walk a few miles in it, think twice. Another idea is that you should dress for the worst 10 minutes, not the average of the day. Most of the time you're fine. It's that moment you're stuck outside waiting in bad weather or walking further than expected that gets your attention. I also think it helps to avoid fragile clothing. Some things that just don't tolerate real use very well. Thin fabrics, cheap materials, things you'd be worried about damaging. If you're treating your clothes like museum pieces, they're probably not helping you much. Colours come into this as well. If you're wearing something you're afraid to get dirty, you'll often avoid doing what needs to be done. White trainers can look great, but it's not helping if you hesitate to walk through mud. White has its place though, especially in real heat, but in general, it makes sense to dress for the weather, dress for the environment, and dress for what you actually have to do. And layers beat single items. It's easier to take something off than wish you'd brought it, and having a few layers gives you adaptability. But the only way you know if something really works is by wearing it, not just day to day, but actually doing things in it. Walk distance in it, carry things in it, get caught in bad weather in it. That's how you find out what works. And socks deserve more respect than they actually get. One good combination I was advised on by a volunteer soldier in Ukraine is bamboo inner socks with merino wool outer socks. Bamboo is good for reducing fungal problems, and the merino gives you the benefit of the wool on top. The other thing is, you don't need loads of specialist gear. It's more about making sure your wardrobe is rounded out properly. So rather than chasing the perfect outfit, it makes more sense to make sure you've got the basics covered. A pair of footwear you can actually walk distance in. Something waterproof that really does keep you dry. A warm layer you can rely on if you get stuck outside. Something you don't mind getting dirty or worn. You're not trying to build the perfect outfit. You're making sure you've got options and that you can actually use them. And if you find something that really works, there's nothing wrong with having a spare or two. As my dad used to say about good boots, they don't eat any bread. Preparedness is not just about what you buy, it's keeping what you have working. A bit of shoe glue for small sole separations can buy you time. Keep a decent sewing kit, including heavier needles to deal with tougher materials. Spare laces are worth having. So is reproofing spray for waterproofs. None of this is complicated, but it can keep something usable for longer or get you home when something fails. In the UK, you're far more likely to deal with bad weather, delays, or a long walk than anything dramatic. So this isn't about preparing for extremes. It's about being slightly better prepared for everyday life. Have a look at what you'd leave the house in tomorrow and ask yourself one question. Could I stay out in this a little bit longer than planned? If the answer's no, that's probably a good place to start. What's your go-to clothing setup day to day? Anything you've changed recently or something you've realised doesn't work as well as you thought? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to our next video.